This broadcast is a Stephen K. Media production.
The success of the small business person is the cornerstone of the American economy. Welcome to the Small Business Today Show with your hosts, Hughes and Hughes. The Small Business Today Show is for and about small business advancement and development. What we do for you. We'll be taking your calls as we provide you small business intelligence and mentorship needed to grow your business creatively. Keep listening. The Small Business Today Show with Hughes and Hughes starts now.
Hello and welcome back to today's episode of Small Business Today with Hughes and Hughes right here on Blog Talk Radio, where we broadcast the show live from our offices Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action, and we always encourage you to get into the conversation with us. You can do so by calling us at 347-857-3958. Again, that number here to the studio is 347-857-3958, or you could go right into the Blog Talk chat room and put your answer, or put your questions in, and or put your comments in, and we may read them aloud on air. So, Urban, how was your day, sir?
Well, I had a great day today. A tough day trying to stay dry, though.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Well, in the latter part of the afternoon.
Right. Yeah, the early part was fine.
The early part was fine. It feels great out there, though.
Yeah, well, it felt great for you yesterday, too, didn't it?
Well, I was out on the golf course, if that's what you're leading towards, and yes, it did feel rather pleasant.
Yeah, rather pleasant. Now, how'd you guys shoot?
We shot one under.
One under.
One under.
Wow.
As a team. We had pretty two decent players with Bertram and myself.
Sure.
And that really saved us.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry I wasn't there to handicap you guys.
Well, you were supposed to be there.
I know, but you know what? I was here taking one for the team.
Well, we can appreciate that.
That's
we
right.
always do. Well, I tell you what, different things have been swimming around my head, and I thought that considering where we are in this country in terms of our political system,
sure.
The fact that we have an election coming up, the fact that there are going to be debates tonight between President Barack Obama and Senator Mitt Romney.
Right.
I think this is the second.
Yeah, this is the second.
A period of three that they're going to do.
Sure.
I figured we may talk about something pseudo-political. One thing we don't like to do on this show is discuss what are the three topics that we stay away from here.
Yeah, we stay away from politics.
Stay away from politics.
We stay away from religion.
Stay away from religion.
And we stay away from news.
And we stay away from news for the most part, unless it really relates to our topic.
No, there is some news, but I'm talking about, John, the focus of our show. And it's just not those three things.
That's true.
Our focus has to really do with strategy. It has to do with how you're going to deal with growing your business. Now, just as soon as I say we don't talk about those three things, those are three things that absolutely will affect how efficiently you can grow your business. So we do touch those things.
Yes, we do.
But it's not the focus of our show.
True. And so those three things we normally stay away from, like I say, unless it really relates to our point. But we do understand that some of our listeners are really, really motivated by the election process. They think that, and I'm not saying that they are wrong when I say this, but they think that, who's in office is really going to determine the landscape for small business over the next 4 to 8 years.
Right. And you know what I always say, John? You know what I always say is, no matter who's got the seat in Washington, D.C., you still have to eat. You still have to grow your business.
Yeah. And I do believe in, and we don't want to play this point down to any degree. But it can almost be said that irregardless who sits in the White House, as it relates to a true small business, you still are faced with certain issues and certain problems that you have to figure out how to overcome, irregardless who's sitting in the White House.
That's correct.
And again, we want to make sure that we give this in the right context. It's not to say that who's sitting there is not important and that you should not be involved in the political campaign as well as casting your ballot when it's time. But what we are saying is that irregardless of who is there, as a small business person, there's some things that you have to know. There's some things that you have to be focused on. And that's generally the direction of our conversation on this show.
Well, absolutely. I just say this, John, don't let your politics get in the way of your business.
That's right.
Whatever that is, whatever your views are, whatever you think, however you vote, That's one thing, and then certainly you're right. But you don't let that get in front of the growth and success of your business.
A few weeks ago we talked about the head of Chick-fil-A
Right.
making the comments that he made
Right.
as it related to marriage between a man and a woman
Sure.
versus
Sure.
two men or two women. And I think that's an example, as you're putting it, of letting your politics get in the way of your business.
Absolutely. It was inflammatory.
Yeah.
And here you are in a retail business, and you now want to skew,
Mhm.
all right, the people you serve based on their lifestyle.
Right.
And my thing is, and when you're in business, you think green, right? And now, if they had, if people who had a different made different choices, different types of lifestyles, and they wanted to patronize your business, I don't think it's in your best interest as a business owner to come out and say things that are just inflammatory and alienate a whole group of people. I do think you have a right to maintain your policies within your company.
Right.
But as it pertains to dealing with the public, that's a sticky situation. You can really hurt yourself.
You know what? And I agree. And I've talked to people, Irv, who feel differently. Some people say that no, your religious beliefs or your political beliefs. It's okay for you to mention those in a corporate or business setting, and they feel that that gentleman was justified in making the statements that he made. Now, and my thing is, I think more like you. As a business owner, I'm not going to get into those areas that I know are incendiary to my customer base, and that will have an adverse effect on my business. Although, I think that those comments and what ensued thereafter sort of helped.
Well, and let me tell you what. And the other thing is too, John, is you got to remember too. These guys aren't guessing, man. They know who their audience is.
Surely.
And so they took that opportunity, I think, to certainly strengthen, if you will, or draw more of that ultra conservative kind of audience.
Yeah.
And if you know who your audience is, I don't know of the business owner. If you don't know who your audience is, I don't know how you point your products and services to them. Conversely, I think if you do know who your audience is, that you ought to position your business so that you do cater to them. That's the point.
And that does make sense.
And in that context, of course. So I'm just saying that in the confines of the boardroom is one thing, but on a public stage, that you just got to be smarter than that. That's all I'm saying.
And I think that's the sentiment that you and I both share, as it relates to business and the way that we do things on this show. We like to talk about those things that are can be used particularly in your business to get the highest and best result, but also an immediate result. That's why we like to focus on strategy. However, I thought that we would take today and we would talk a little bit about the economic process and some of the things that are going on as it relates to the Romney-Ryan campaign and the Obama-Biden campaign. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, as long as you have chosen a side and you are going to execute and place your vote when the time is right. But one of the things that I realize that they are discussing more so than ever before is taxing small businesses.
Right. That got to be a polarizing subject, didn't it?
I mean, just now for me now, and I could be a little, off the loop here, but for me, it just seems like it came out of nowhere.
Right.
And I know that Governor Romney, made that comment several times during his first speech where he said he's all about jobs. And I think I counted at least 10 times that he may have said that.
Sure.
And then he talked about taxing the wealthy or taxing business owners, or it's just not right for anyone. Now, I agree, raising taxes rather on any market to me is just not good right now.
Right now it's not.
But when we think about taxes and raising business on taxes, that's only important to those small businesses that are making a profit. And I
That's
think
right.
so many small business owners have sort of confused the fact that, let me say something to you. If you're not making any money right now in your business, then what does it matter if they raise the taxes on
This
you?
doesn't apply to you.
They're not talking to you.
That's right.
Because for taxes to be raised and for it to affect you, that means that you have to be making a profit.
That's right.
Now, I'm not saying that that's not an important topic and you should not listen or consider what they're saying.
Right.
But what I am saying is that you have an immediate problem, and your problem is getting to the point to where those comments have something to do with you.
Yeah, but I don't want to pay any taxes, John.
Neither do I.
Yeah, but see, if I'm a small business, I want to do what I can. I've actually heard this, John, and you might think this is unthinkable, but I've actually heard a business owner tell one of their partners that they would rather not run the company at a profit so they wouldn't have to pay taxes.
Now, that's absolutely asinine.
I'm just telling you, I've actually heard that.
I'd rather be forced to pay $15 million in taxes
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
than to not have the ability or not be asked to pay that amount. I mean, to me, run your business at a profit. That, to me, that's the name of the game. Not to break slap even. I don't know any person that goes into business in hopes of being able to break even and not have to pay any tax.
Well, if that's the case, then, John, is being taxed a privilege or is it a burden?
It's a burden.
No.
What would you say?
I just thought I'd throw that out.
Well, let me hear your point before we go to break.
Oh, no, I'll talk about it when we come back.
All right.
All right.
Guys, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Small Business Today magazine. It's the magazine that is for and about Houston's entrepreneurs. Even if you're not in the Houston footprint, you should go on to our website, which is www.smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com. Put your information in and let us send you the publication each and every month. Our writers are individuals who have started businesses, run businesses, had losses, had gains, and they talk from practical experience that can benefit every entrepreneur, no matter where you are in this country. Stick around. There's more coming from John Cruz and Irv Hughes right after these messages.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at,
Excuse me, heavy news?
disasters, politics, stock market,
And this alternative is...
coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan.
The storm's coming.
The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Cosmos Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruzandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Herb and I are alone today in the studio. We do not have a guest, but we do have a juicy, spicy topic for you, so we hope that you're sticking around and listening. Also, if you'd like to give your 2 cents on the subject, you can feel free to pick up the telephone and dial 347-857-3958. Again, that number is 347-857-3958, or our producer, Stephen K., is monitoring the chat room, so you can just put a question in there or a comment, and Stephen will read it on the air for us. Now, we went to break. We were talking about taxes being either a burden, or what was the other word that you used? A luxury?
Or a privilege.
Oh, a privilege. Oh,
Yes.
okay. I thought you said luxury.
No, not a luxury. No, in fact, we have luxury tax.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
And that's not luxurious.
That's not luxurious at all.
So my point on taxes in this country was that it's burdensome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now, you got to understand.
Now, don't whip out on me.
No, but you and I are both business owners, and therein lies the problem. Is
Okay.
that, small business owners have enough burdens.
Right.
And tax anything, folks, that reduces your profitability. And taxes do that. It reduces the amount of money you keep.
Correct.
That is problematic. And what I mean by that is it's problematic because taxes in this country is based on income. And what, I kind of touched on this earlier, sharing with you and our listeners the comments that I heard from some people talking about they'd rather not run their business profitably because they wanted to avoid paying taxes. That is how painful taxation is to small business. And the reason I brought up this question about is it a privilege or not, okay, is because there are countries where you don't get to pay taxes based on your income. They just take it. The government owns everything.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, and then it gets redistributed. Even though even in America there are people who are certainly allegedly accused of redistribution of wealth, but we won't go too far into that.
Yeah.
But again, to answer the question, taxation is burdensome to small business. It always is. It always will be. But I have a question though.
Okay.
And that is this. I don't think that taxation. And maybe this is it's a comment and then a question. I don't think taxation should be set up the way it is.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what else to base it on other than income. Maybe we can talk about it. Maybe it needs to be a consumption tax.
And that's exactly what my answer was going to be.
Maybe that's the answer.
That is the answer, in my opinion.
But based on income, I think it's problematic. I just think the whole system is being misused. When our tax system was set up, this country was young and it was fighting for its independence, and money needed to be collected so that we could continue this battle.
Correct.
Now we're independent. We're, it's the United States of America. It's the most powerful nation on the planet. And we did that in a few hundred years, as opposed to people who had thousands of years ahead of us.
Right.
Okay. So now I'm wondering, is this tax system still effective? And what I mean by that is it's still relevant. To my understanding, we hadn't really changed it. We've changed the code, of course. Almost every president does something to change the tax code.
Right.
But I don't know that it's still relevant for our society today.
Well, and if that is a question, my answer would have to be I don't believe that it is. I believe that we're overtaxed in this country. If you look at the fact that we are paying a tax on every single thing that we consume.
Sure.
And then in addition to that, we're paying a tax on every dollar that we earn. many of us are taxed to the tune of about 50% of what we earn. If you
No
look
doubt.
at what you're paying on what you consume, as well as what you're paying on the income, I mean, I think that we're overtaxed. And when a politician says that, we should not increase taxes, I definitely agree. But the thing is that as it relates to the way that both candidates are talking about having taxes increase on individuals or corporations who make over $250,000, first of all, you have to get to that point. There's like 0.3% of all corporations in this country that actually earn $250,000 or more in profit.
In profit. That's right.
Profit.
Right.
So it remains to be said then that many of us who are listening to the rhetoric that they are espousing, how does that really relate to you as a small business person? You're not there yet, and they're not talking about you.
Right.
And we need to get you to the point to where that message is relevant to you, not only just in words, but it's relevant to the income that your small business produces and the people who you employ.
Sure.
And
no doubt.
And so when we think about it, Irv, first of all, let's talk a little bit about corporations.
Okay.
The reason that we become a corporation is because as an employee, think about it, every job that I've ever had, when I get my paycheck,
right,
the taxes have been, I guess, removed because they didn't want me to have to worry about the ad and subtracting.
Well, of course, John.
So the thing is, as an employee, you get your paycheck and all of your taxes have been already deducted from the paycheck.
Right.
And then you get what's left after taxation.
That's right.
Well, the whole purpose that we start corporations as business people is because first thing that we do is when our income comes in, we deduct all of our expenses. And if there is a profit left over,
Sure.
we're taxed on that profit.
That's correct.
Not on the gross amount.
Right.
And then if there's anything left after you pay your taxes, then that compensation goes to the owners.
Sure.
Or the owner of the corporation.
That's right.
So it's better to be a corporation, in my opinion,
no doubt,
than it is an employee in this country.
Oh, no doubt.
Because you're taxed less.
Look, let's be honest. The tax system in this country, as it is today, is set up to benefit the drivers of economy.
Right.
And it should be. My point is that's the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the right thing. Where I struggle, if you will, is whether or not the significance of who gets the seat in Washington has that big of an impact on most companies in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that it does, because I've heard that there are two different views of what wealth is. Some people say a wealthy person is a person who makes $250,000 a year or more. Some people say that's a millionaire. I don't know.
And I don't say that either have anything to do whatsoever with wealth.
Well, that's my point.
Because income has nothing to do, in my opinion, with wealth.
Well, if you earn a net income of $1 million a year,
mm-hmm.
and you spend $1.2 million, are you wealthy?
No.
That's the point.
Absolutely not.
So, but if somebody is going to tag you, John, as being wealthy because you earned $1 million, you see what I'm saying?
I totally get it.
Then I don't know that that's the right thing, and that's why I was kind of talking about consumption.
Yes,
because now that's a different thing.
Yes, it is, and I think it isn't. I mean, wealth has everything to do with how much of those earnings you save.
That's right.
I know people. You take my grandfather for example, or excuse me, my great grandfather, who was able to buy a couple houses, couple cars, pay all those off, save enough money for his retirement for him and my great grandmother who didn't work, and he never made more than probably $500 in a week ever in his lifetime.
Yeah, but that's a wealthy man.
That was, to me, that's the example of wealth. He was able to save enough money so that in his latter years he didn't have to depend on the children. So that to me is wealth. Wealth has nothing to do with how much you earn. It has everything to do with how much you save or how you invest what you earn.
Yeah, how much you keep.
What can you grow? What you keep. Now, and when we think about the way that we're taxed in this country, we're not going to spend this entire show talking about taxes, but when we think about the way that we're taxed, I think that we have to look at those other problems that that also exist in our business. Yeah, taxing, the way we're taxed is one thing, but the way that the candidates are talking about it, it's as if every small business person is making over $250,000 a month a year in profit, and that's really not the case. So I think that what we should do is probably talk about the new study that came out.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
From the National Federation of Independent Business, and you can Google this for yourself. They released a study this month, and the report is called "The Small Business Problems and Priorities," and that's what the study is. They did a sample of small business owners, and they developed 75 factors, and they asked each one of these member small businesses to rate those factors in order of importance, and based on the sample, they were able to determine what is most important to small business owners, and we just want to sort of play that against some of the things that we're hearing from our candidates and what the media would have you think is important. So, and if you're listening to this, we would love to hear your comments in terms of what's actually important to you, what means most in your small business. So we're going to sort of kick that ball around when we come back.
Well, that's good. Well, folks, I got to tell you, John, when we come back, we got to drill down into this because there are some problems, and folks, there's some hidden expenses, and I call them hidden because it's not just taxes; it's taxes and things related, related expenses that affect your bottom line. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by the Lexington Law Firm. When you need credit help, get a free consultation today by calling 888-744-7081. Stay with us. The education continues in just a moment.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan.
The storm's coming.
The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Circuit. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Irv and I are talking a little bit about everything. We're talking a little bit about taxation in this country as it relates to being a small business owner, and we're also talking about the report that was released this month by the National Federation of Independent Business, and you can find the report online. Just Google it yourself, and go to the NFIB's website, and the report is called Small Business Problems and Priorities.
Right.
And it lists the 10, and this is a report that they do once every 4 years. So the last time they did one was 2008. And what this does is it lists the most pressing issues, problems, and priorities of small business America. And I guess we'll take these sort of one at a time.
So this is their top 10 biggest problems
list.
This
is their top 10 list.
Okay, so you want to start out at number 10?
Why don't we start out at number 10?
Okay. Well, number 10, state taxes on business income.
And state taxes on business income was previously in 2008, it was number 7. So now it has dropped down 3 spaces to number 10. Now, it's an issue that we don't have in the state of Texas.
That's right.
Or in Florida.
That's right.
Or I think in Washington
That's
State,
right.
correct?
That's right. And let me see, who else is it? Wyoming?
Is Wyoming also?
I think it's Wyoming.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't have those issues with state taxes on business income, but I'm certain, if you operate a business in California or New York,
sure,
you pay some hefty rates.
That's right.
For that. So that's one of the issues that's still in the top 10.
Sure. So pack up and move to Texas. Start your business.
Absolutely. Come here. There's more room for you than wherever you are. I'm certain. Right. Number 9 is property taxes.
Oh, boy.
On real estate, inventory, personal property.
That's right.
Paying those property taxes. Now, property taxes, interestingly enough, was number 4.
Yeah.
In 2008.
Yeah. Well, in 2008, people were loaded down with inventory.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, from the auto industry.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard this, folks, but inventory reduction sale.
Yeah.
That's when car dealers are trying to unload the cars that are literally in their inventory on the lot because they're going to pay taxes.
Well, you know what? Now that you say that, it makes sense then why that was number 4, because think about the economy that was going on between 2002 and 2007.
Sure.
Lots of money was being made.
And
people, even myself.
That's right.
In 2008, if you looked at my real estate holdings, they were enormous.
Right.
But then after 2008,
right.
I was doing everything that I could to get rid of that crap. It was like an anchor that was just laying my portfolio down.
That's right. We started unloading real estate, man.
So it makes sense then why that. It's still in the top 10.
Sure.
But it makes sense then why it was so important in 2008.
It's still an issue. Number 8. Frequent changes. We just kind of touched on this. Frequent changes in federal tax laws and rules.
Now, that's something that was number 15
right.
in 2008.
Right.
And now it has dropped down. It's in the top 10, and now it's number 8.
Well, who can keep up? I mean, you almost have to have a tax advisor just to keep up with the changes.
And what is the tax code now? I mean...
Well, I don't know. I think the last time I looked, it was nearly 3,000 pages.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, is it even feasible then that one CPA can stay on top of all of the changes? And you said yourself that depending on who is coming into office, you can almost rest assured that there are going to be changes to the tax code.
There's going to be changes to the tax code. It's never, I don't think it's never, that's bad English. How do I say it? It's never not happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's always a change when there's change in Washington.
So when someone comes in, they're going to reform the tax code.
That's right.
And they're going to move the cheese.
That's exactly right. And you know what? They run on that.
Yeah.
As we say, rhetoric.
That's right.
Tax rhetoric.
Now, number 7 is very similar to number 8.
Right.
It's tax complexity.
That's right.
Now, in 2008, It was number 5.
Yeah.
It's dropped a couple spaces.
Right.
It's now number 7. But how complex the tax code is. I talked to a guy the other day, and I'm saying the other day, but it's probably been about a month or so. And one of the things that he told me is that he's been a corporation for, I want to remember that he said 8 years, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he has been doing his own taxes for 8 years, every year that he's been in business. And I think he has somewhere in the neighborhood of about 7 or 8 employees.
Wow.
And he pays them with a W-2.
Yeah. Okay.
And he has the chutzpah to do his own taxes. Can you believe that?
That's outstanding.
I mean, would you do that?
No.
And why not?
I would do it as long as it was probably myself and maybe one other person. I would see myself doing it. But when you start to get into W-2s and employees beyond yourself and maybe one other person, you probably want to hand that off.
Why so?
Because you're going to make some error somewhere.
Right.
And you're going to cost yourself money somewhere. And it's far better, I think, to get it right and have a tax professional do it than you trying to do it.
Now,
I just think it's going to get more complex.
And I don't want to jack up this this quote because I can't remember exactly what the words were, but if you go on the IRS's website, they have like a list of reasons that you should be working with a tax professional, and one of which was that most people in this country, when they make a mistake on their taxes, it's more often than not in the benefit of the IRS.
That's right.
Than it is to the benefit of the person that's preparing their
Well,
taxes.
let me speak to that, John. I believe most people in this country are very aggressive taxpayers. And here's how you tell if you're an aggressive taxpayer.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been audited, you're a very aggressive taxpayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to.
Yeah.
I would have to say
because
so.
they're not going to bother you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true. I mean, even if the numbers are probably a little wrong.
Sure.
If you're aggressive about it, they're okay.
Yeah.
And the thing I told him, I said, the first thing that I would do in my business is probably grab my last 4 to 5 years of tax returns and have somebody audit that for me.
Right.
Because I told him I can guarantee with the changes in the tax code and
it's wrong.
That you are not. There's no way that you could be taking advantage of every deduction that's available to you.
No, and not only that, but just the principle of the tax code. It's kind of this if then else kind of thinking.
Right, exactly. When I was in school, I hated things like that.
Yeah.
If this refer to line 28A.
Yeah, if then else. Yeah, and that's what I call a whole tax code.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's if then else.
Yeah.
The tax is this if you do this, but if it's not that, then it's got to be this. So or else you can do this.
Yeah.
And boy, what a challenge to try to keep up.
So
with.
complexity in the tax code is definitely something that's really important to small business owners.
No doubt. Number 6, federal taxes on business income.
We talked a little bit about that.
Yeah.
The federal taxes on. What's interesting is I wonder how many people out there think that their federal income taxes go towards running the machine that we call the United States, meaning that it goes towards bridges and poor folks and highways and federal buildings and that sort of thing. I wonder how many people honestly think that.
I think most people think that, and I'm just going to say, do your research.
Do your research. Yeah. That's a great way to
check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So federal taxes on business income, it was number 3 in 2008.
Yep.
And it slipped a couple spots and it's down to number 6.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Now that brings us to number 5.
Mm-hmm.
And number 5 is unreasonable government regulation.
Oh boy, now that's a hot one for me.
Can you think of anything that maybe that you could consider unreasonable? I hate to put you on the spot like that.
You know what? The first thing that came to my mind is what's happening in California with some of the medicinal marijuana growers.
I'm an NPR listener.
Right.
And they had 2 people that were on NPR today. That one was arguing for marijuana being taken off as an illegal drug, and the other was arguing against it.
Right.
And but make your point.
Here's my point. The state of California legalized it. These people legalized it. They put a process in place to legitimize the growers. All right, in this business, that is an agriculture business. That's growing things. That's agriculture.
Okay.
All right, they're growing the raw material for this. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
in their state.
In their state. But here's where the rub is. Here's where I got my rub. It's when the federal government comes in and tells the banks that if you accept deposits from these legal growers, that
which are operating within the guidelines of state law.
That's right. They're operating within the guidelines of state law. But now you come up with a regulation that says, well, because it's not legal in any other of the states, we're going to come in with federal regulations, and we're going to impose those on you to say, banks, if we find out you're taking deposits from these growers, we're going to take your insurance.
That to me isn't right.
It's not right.
No matter what side of the ball you're on, whether you want marijuana legalized or not.
That's the point. The point is, these are business owners, these are entrepreneurs. They followed the rules, they did the steps, and now federal regulations have come in, and here's the point: they didn't reach over into the state rules; they hit them where they couldn't use the money.
So then, if you are a grower of medicinal marijuana in the state of California, then where do you put your deposits? I mean, these businesses, from what I understand, can rack up millions of dollars a year in revenue. And
they do and have. And that's the point. That is the point. So now if you're a banker in a state that's having some economic problems, and now you fix the problem in the state of California because you legalized some growing, and now the federal government has come in and stepped over and said, well, yeah, but we're going to cut off your use of the money you earned. See, that's ridiculous.
That hits you in the knees.
It cuts you at the knees, at the very knees. It's unbelievable. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by RingCentral.com. To get RingCentral's virtual PBX for your business, you can call them today at 888-716-5022. More in a moment, right after this.
Turn up the sales on your website today with AnythingInternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with AnythingInternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cuny is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancuny.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
excuse me,
Heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
free.
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan,
The storm's coming.
the legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham's Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruzandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Irv and I are talking about the report that was released this month from the National Federation of Independent Business, and this is a report that you can go and find yourself. It's on the internet. It's on their website, the NFIB website. And what it is, it's the Small Business Problems and Priorities report that's done every 4 years. And what they do is they rank out of 75 factors what are the most important issues facing small business people right now in this economy. And we've gone through number 10 through 5, and I'll go ahead and run through those very quickly. Number 10 was state taxes on business income. Number 9 was property taxes. Number 8 was frequent changes in federal tax laws and rules. Number 7 was tax complexity. Number 6 was federal taxes on business income. And number 5 is unreasonable government regulations. Those are the 5 through 10, if you will.
Sure.
Now, if we tackle the last 4.
Yes.
Number 4.
Uncertainty over government actions. Now, this is, folks, we're talking about actions. Don't confuse that with regulations. Actions have to do with things that the government does. Whether or not there is enabling legislation. When the government does something, they have to do it based on what we call enabling legislation. In other words, there's legislation that allows them to take an action. When somebody is uncertain in a small business about what the government's action is going to be, or if the government has taken action, perhaps in areas where they seem to be overstepping, that can curtail growth.
Yeah.
And it will every time. And one of the things that I immediately thought about was the government action with General Motors. There are some who say, well, the federal government stepped in and saved the auto industry.
You disagree with that?
No, I do agree with that. But we're talking about actions here. How they did that is another matter. When you have a company, a private company, not a government agency, where someone in Congress or an executive, even from the executive branch, can now influence whether or not a person stays as president of the company or not. That, to me, that's an overstepping government action.
I would agree.
That's what I'm talking about.
I would agree.
You know, if a CEO gets fired from a corporation, folks, even if it's publicly held, okay, that decision is subject to vote from its board members. From its voting members, not the president of the United States.
That's true.
All right. That's where
whether that company be public or private.
That's the point. Even if it's a publicly traded company, the president of the United States does not have a right to come and say, I want this guy removed.
Yeah.
That's up to the board.
But if we give you several $100 million.
Yeah, now I can say that.
Yeah, I don't know. And what's interesting, Irv, is that this is new to the list of top 10.
That's right, but that's what I'm getting at. When you have entrepreneurs uncertain about what actions their government is going to take, that prohibits, that curtails growth, because now I can't be certain as to what these people are going to do. That's the problem.
And you can't have that in our government.
No.
Not in America.
No.
I mean, these people work for us.
That's right. And therein lies the problem.
Right. And how in the heck can we have someone in office that we are fearful of in terms of what they're going to do?
That's right. Because you know what? When we as Americans, and I'm talking all of us, I don't care which side of the aisle you're on, that gets to a place where we give politicians the impression that we will not fire them. And I'm going to use the word fire.
Yeah.
You don't follow what the public demands.
Right.
You're going to be fired.
I agree.
And there's been a lot of years, John, where in my estimation, we've given that away.
I think so.
And so, people campaign on one thing and then get an office
do something completely different.
That's exactly right.
Now, that was number 4. Number 3 is the cost of natural gas, propane, gasoline, diesel, and fuel oil. That's number 3, and in 2008 it was number 2.
Yes.
So it's slipped one rank.
That's right.
In the top 10, and I think that that it should be in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely, and it should be high in the top 10 because these things. The cost of these things affect literally how we live.
Period. End of story.
Period. I mean, whether or not you stay warm, whether or not you can get a banana from your supermarket, anything that's trucked or railed or however it affects transportation, anything affects transportation is going to affect everything.
Because transportation is the way that you receive just about all of the products that we either use or consume in this country. You go and do something as ridiculous as increasing the price of oil to over $100 a barrel or somewhere right around that dollar amount, which influences the price of gasoline.
There we go.
It has no choice but to resonate through every single thing that we do. I love moon pies.
That's right.
I love moon pies.
I like that, John.
And when I'm on the road, I like to, when I'm driving somewhere, stop and get me a moon pie.
Yeah.
Do you know that I stopped at Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's, yeah.
Yeah, and moon pies were $1.69 a piece
for a moon pie.
A moon pie.
A single moon pie.
A single moon pie. I couldn't do it.
Yep.
I could not do it. The price of gasoline is keeping me slim
because you had to put gas in your car rather than get your moon pie.
I didn't have to make that decision, but I did have to make the decision that moon pie was it more valuable than the $1.69 that I had in my pocket.
Well,
and the answer it was no.
Bringing that home, John. I mean, that's a half gallon of gas.
Yes, it is. And I think I'd rather have the half gallon of gas than the moon pie.
Right.
So, I mean, with that being said, I digress. We'll move on. We're down to number 2, and we're talking about the National Federation of Independent Business, the list, or the report called the Small Business Problems and Priorities that it released this month. And it is a study conducted once every 4 years, whereby its respondents rank 75 factors, meaning 1 from 75, what's most important to these business owners. And we're down to number 2.
Number 2, uncertainty over economic conditions.
Which is also a new one.
That's also a new one.
It wasn't in the top 10 before.
You know why? Because now we can't tell. There used to be a time when we could sort of predict what we thought was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Economically, I'm talking.
Mm-hmm.
We could tell if a market was probably going to decline.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because there's so much artificial work put into these industry numbers, now we're completely uncertain as to how the market is going to react.
Do you think this has something to do then with number 4, which is sort of, to me, it seems as they perhaps go hand in hand, uncertainty over government action?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at the Jobs Act. The Jobs Act is supposed to allow small business owners, there's a part of it that allows small business owners now to raise money through electronic means on the internet. But that's being governed by the SEC, right?
Mm-hmm.
The SEC, we still don't know how they're going to act about that.
Right.
Now it's law, but we've got to wait for the SEC to tell us how we're going to implement that, what that enabling legislation means to us here on Main Street.
So it's languishing there while we wait on
there you go.
The level of regulation that's going to be attached.
There you go, exactly.
Well, and I can understand that. I mean, uncertainty over economic conditions, I think we are all, I'd be crazy if I didn't say that all of us are a little uncertain in these times that we're in right now.
Absolutely, no doubt.
All right, before we go to break, number 1 is the cost of health insurance.
Ooh.
And I'll have you know that was also number 1 in 2008.
Interesting. Well, when we come back, we got to drill down on that, all right? Okay, folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Mega Suits. Mega Suits offers an extensive collection of quality business clothing, such as men's suits, dress shirts, shoes, and accessories. You can call Mega Suits today at 888-349-2910. Back in a moment. Don't go away.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
I tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market,
And this alternative is...
coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan. This storm coming. The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Director. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Irv and I have been talking about the report that was released this month by the National Federation of Independent Business. The report is called the Small Business Problems and Priorities Report, and I encourage each of you to go to the NFIB's website, download that report, read it, and see if it means anything to you. And the reason that I say that is because the report is done whereby they take the responses from 3,856 NFIB small business owners / members, and they do a survey with these people, and then they take a sample from there, and I'm just interested to know how many people, you know, do these top 10 match up with how you run your business?
Sure. And let me just say this on to that, John, is that, folks, you have to remember that most of these surveys, when surveys are published, for that survey to be considered valid, you have to have about 1,500 responses. That's kind of the number. And when you have twice that number, or 3,000 or more, that adds to the validity and accuracy of the survey.
Okay.
Which is one of the reasons why NFIB published that it was 3,856,
responses. Yeah.
Right, because that adds to the credibility of the survey.
Gives you, I guess, a higher quality sample.
No doubt. Absolutely, it does. And so, with that said, though, how many businesses are positioning themselves to handle these kinds of problems?
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know how maybe you have a better idea, John. I don't even know how you position yourself for so much uncertainty.
I don't as well. The only thing that I can say is you keep listening to this show, and as the problems arise, one of the things that Irv and I pride ourselves best on is not knowing the answer to every question, but knowing the people who do have the answer.
No doubt.
So share with us what your thoughts are. If there's anything that we can do to help you out in your business, you can always connect us through our website, which is www.cruzandhughes.com. We want to thank you for listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. I'm John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And this is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. So until tomorrow, be smart, be successful, and above all else,
be in action.
Irv and I will see you tomorrow.